Breaking news. We're reporting live.
Tonight's breaking story. A mother accused of throttling her 10-year-old son to death.
Years after the tragic deaths of the 5 Yates children on murder charges for the following death of her son.
This is TNPL News.
Good evening. I'm Jill Johnson here with tonight's top story. It's been 5 years since the nation was rocked with the news of Andrea Yates and the premeditated drowning of her 5 children in the family bathtub. Yates allegedly waited for her husband to leave for work before locking up the family dog, drowning the children, and laying them in her bed. Now in court, Yates has pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. It has been confirmed that Yates had extensive history with mental illness. In her years leading up to the event, she was diagnosed with postpartum psychosis, and the family experienced multiple conflicts. In one case, Yates stopped feeding her youngest child, Mary. Friends say that she read the Bible feverishly and that they were worried about her safety. In a statement, Yates explained that Satan influenced her to kill her children, saying, "It was the 7th deadly sin. My children weren't righteous. They stumbled because I was evil. The way I was raising them, they could never be saved. They were doomed to perish in the fires of hell."
Police say that China Arnold, 26, was arrested in her home on Monday for a charge of aggravated murder, more than a year after bringing her dead 1-month-old infant to the hospital. At the time, Tally's death was ruled a homicide caused by hyperthermia or high body temperature due to severe burns. Arnold was arrested initially, then released. Ken Beats, director of the Montgomery County, Ohio Coroner's Office, said the case was difficult because there's not a lot of scientific research and data on the effect of microwaves on human beings. Arnold's lawyer, John Paul Ryan, said his client had nothing to do with her child's death and was stunned when the investigators told her that a microwave may have been involved. The night before the baby was taken to the hospital, Arnold and the child's father went out for a short time, leaving Paris with a babysitter. Ryan said the mother didn't sense anything out of the ordinary until the next morning when the child was found unconscious. Ryan said Arnold, who has 3 other children, is being held in the Montgomery County Jail and plans to plead not guilty, according to her lawyer.
Diane Downs is serving a life sentence after shooting her 3 kids on a rural road outside of Springfield in 1983. Her daughter died in the attack. Her 2 other kids survived, with serious injuries. Downs has maintained her innocence all along, claiming a carjacker pulled the trigger. At the first parole hearing 2 years ago, the board denied her release. Today, the board heard from her again. It took the parole board less than half an hour to decide Diane Downs should stay in prison. Downs appeared via video from a California prison. She told the 3 parole board members she is innocent, saying the carjacker shot her kids. Downs was questioned for 2 hours on what she had learned in prison and what she had done to better herself. She said that prison has taught her to manage her anger. The board asked her why she would cry at the mention of her parents, but not the mention of her children. Former lead investigator on the case explained that Diane has never met a camera she didn't like. In the end, the board unanimously agreed to deny the parole. Downs may not request it for another 10 years.
Police were called to a house in southwest London on Tuesday evening at 9:30 p.m. after receiving a frightening 999 call. Upon arrival at the house, they found 3 children dead in their beds, with mother, Tanya Clarence, hiding under a duvet cover nearby. She was taken to the hospital with minor injuries and was later detained by police. 3-year-old twins Ben and Max and sister Olivia are said to have suffered from the life-limiting disorder spinal muscular atrophy, a disorder which left them unable to move or eat on their own. Their mother is believed to have suffocated the 3 after a severe mental breakdown. Neighbors expressed their shock today at the news, explaining that Tanya was a doting mother who would never hurt her children. Primary care for the 3 was put upon her as her husband worked long hours in the city. The stress became too much. Statements will be made later today from local police.
Fiona Donnison has been sentenced tonight to 32 years in jail after walking into a Lightwater police station last year and confessing to the murder of her 2 children. Harry and Elise Donnison, ages 3 and 2, were found in their home unconscious. It appeared that the 2 had been smothered. Donnison killed her children as the ultimate and final weapon in her campaign of attrition against partner Paul Donnison 12 days after he told her he had given up on their attempted reconciliation because of her unreasonable behavior. Paul Donnison had begun dating childhood friend Allison Shimmers, and jealousy flared in Fiona. It was reported that she had called Shimmers days before the murders and threatened her life. Paul Donnison remembered his children tonight after the verdict, saying, "Justice has come through, and though it does not lessen my grief, it brings me one step closer to healing." We wish you all the best, Paul.
We broke the news last week that Michael and Alexander Smith, ages 3 and 14 months, were missing. Today, after a long and intensive statewide search, their bodies were discovered in John D. Long Lake. Police have taken their mother, Suzanne Smith, into custody. She has confessed that her original story of a carjacker taking the boys was untrue and that she let her car roll into the lake with her sons inside. Husband David Smith was devastated at the news. It appears that Suzanne was trying to make a clean slate for herself after deciding to pursue a relationship with another man.
A mother's plot to blame a stranger for killing her sons went awry when one of the boys survived and told police how Michelle Kehoe cut his throat, then moved on to his younger brother. Police found the 7-year-old covered in dried blood in the family van the morning of October 27, 2008, in a secluded area near a pond east of Littleton. Beside the van, his 2-year-old brother lay dead, his throat also slashed. Kehoe has pleaded not guilty to charges of first-degree murder, attempted murder, and child endangerment causing serious injury. She faces life in prison without parole if convicted of first-degree murder for her son's death.
Days before Christmas, another terrible loss in Australia. 8 children were found massacred in their home this morning. The oldest, 15, the youngest, just 18 months. Their mother, taken to the hospital with multiple stab wounds, is under investigation. Witnesses say she was seen a few days ago running through the street at 3 a.m. screaming, "Don't let them take them away from us. God bless us. Forgive me for what I'll do." 5 of the children had different biological fathers. It is reported that one was in the process of trying to take the children away.
A mother is facing 25 years in prison for the death of her 8-year-old son. Jennifer Jansma was detained today on murder charges following the death of her son Jordan. Tucson police found the boy unconscious in a hotel room. Jansma had drugged her son with allergy medicine and adult sleeping pills, then covered his back with patches containing fentanyl, a drug more powerful than morphine. She has been booked on first-degree murder and child abuse charges. This all comes just 4 years after Child Protective Services was called when she threatened to do the same thing. Child Protective Services has no comments to offer.
A mother accused of throttling her 10-year-old son to death because she thought his ears were ruining his life is now facing murder charges in Turkey. Nuray Sakan, age 37, paid for her son to have cosmetic surgery in Gazi Hospital in the capital, Ankara. After feeling unsatisfied with the results, Sakan allegedly took the boy into the hospital bathroom where she choked him to death with a scarf. She then fled the scene and on her way out of the hospital parking lot got in an accident which landed her back in the hospital. During her confession, Sarkhan said both his ears had become even bigger after surgery. He became very ugly and felt ashamed in front of his friends. She claims, "I did it to save the boy from embarrassment." The boy has been struggling with bullying in school prior to this instance.
Thank you for joining us. This is TMPL News.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night and good night.